No, but honestly, like, if you're not going to step up when somebody gets cancer, then honestly, like, sorry to be harsh, but then you can F off.
Welcome back to the Life on a Stick podcast, a podcast about how we're trying to live life to the full amidst battles with cancer, living in a van, and doing our best to raise two half-decent kids. I'm Tom.
I'm Malin.
And for us, living life to the full doesn't necessarily mean going swimming with sharks every day, but rather learning to appreciate the little things in life and trying to see the positives in whatever we can. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
It's been a while. No, it's not. It's been 4 days.
I was like looking at you. I was like, are we pretending that it's been a while or
It's been
what's going on?
Oh, it's been a long 4 days.
Yeah.
I tell you.
It's not been that long for you either, because it's like we recorded 3 days ago.
Yeah. Was it? Is that all it was?
Yeah.
It feels like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. But you also spent a full day of editing that.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's not been that long for you, has it?
It's not been that long at all, really. No, it's just been we've had the days have been packed full.
I feel like it's a good thing that you feel like, oh, it's been a while, and you're not like, oh, here we go again. Now she's gonna
this again.
Now she's gonna nag for an hour, and I have to listen back to this while I edit.
Yeah, I don't feel like that yet. We are only on episode 11, so there's still time.
Yeah, thanks.
We've had a bit of sun today, haven't we?
Yeah,
for the first time in all summer.
Yeah, since spring.
Yeah, it's the first time in a little while that it's felt like actual summer today.
Yeah, it's been really nice. We've been swimming. It's the 4th of September today.
Yeah,
and we've been swimming.
Yeah, it's been good, and it's forecast for a few days now. So long may it continue.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to not freeze. From it,
Actually, yeah, it's really good.
I thought it earlier because me and the kids were like by a lake, and I just thought like how simple life is when it's this. Like you don't need much entertainment. Like we just packed a bag and went up and sat by the lake, and then we played some Uno, and then we swam for a bit, and then we picked pine cones to throw in the water.
Yeah.
And it's so simple, and it's like I just thought like it feels so nice to not have to entertain all the time.
Absolutely, yeah. It's like when you live in a van, it's you live in a different way when it's nice weather, don't you? Because you have the door open, the kids are just there, and it's not really like coming up with entertainment, is it?
No, exactly.
It's like they just entertain themselves, and they're in and out and playing and drawing, and we've got these like what do you call it, like sidewalk chalk as they call it. I don't know what we call it in England, pavement chalk, where they draw on the ground sort of thing in chalk, and that just becomes like the go-to thing when it's nice weather, doesn't it?
Exactly, it's nice.
I like it. And obviously, like, we're super lucky that we can be exploring like places like this, parked up next to a lake, and that becomes entertainment in and of itself, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh, 5 minutes in, I'm yawning.
5 minutes in, and she's tired of me already.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's...
Seen enough of you today.
I've not seen anything of me today. I feel like we've hardly seen each other.
Oh, yeah. I thought about this the other day. Some people say, like, oh, I don't know, how can you do it? Like, how can you live in such small space and see each other all the time? And, like, do you not get sick of each other? Do you not feel like you need your own time? And how can you do it without arguing all the time? And I said this to my mum the other day. And I was like, at the moment, because we've got so much work on, the kids are quite hard work at the moment, and I'm quite brain foggy at the moment, and hospitals and whatever. But all of that just makes me, I was like, I feel like I don't see Tom.
Yeah.
I was like, I feel like we've not spoken days, but 100%. We live on like 6 square meters.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
I feel like that sometimes. We can go days without actually like having a proper conversation, even though we live in such a small space.
It's strange, isn't it? Sometimes I'm like, I feel like I miss you, even though we live and only speak to each other.
Wouldn't take it that far, but yeah.
Rude.
I'm joking. Obviously, you're right. Definitely.
Well, miss might not be the wrong word, but like I feel like
you feel like you've spent time apart, even though absolutely, I know what you mean. So, what we chatting about today then, mate?
I thought that maybe we should chat a little bit about this that we just spoke a little bit about.
Podcast done then. Sorted.
Is that a standard joke now?
Yeah, I was gonna say. I feel like you can't do it every episode, but every third episode you can sort of that's the the frequency that you can pull them jokes off. I have 4 jokes. I just make sure that I tell them like in order so that they don't get stale. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
That's sort of how it is to be a dad, I think.
Okay, I see.
Go on, what we're chatting about?
Like, how is like the social life in a van? Like, do you feel like you're lonely? Do you meet a lot of other people? Do the kids this is one that we get on YouTube basically every single week. Do your kids ever play with other kids?
Oh yeah, that's a common one, isn't it? Yeah,
almost every single week.
Do they use that voice as well?
Yes, that's how I imagine
That's the
it.
voice when you read it.
That's the voice when I read it, because it's like, well, it's as bad as like, do you ever use the toilet? Because we don't video it.
Yeah,
it doesn't happen.
Yeah, exactly. It's like whenever we're around a lot of kids, whenever we're at a playground, or whether there's a lot of kids, when there's a lot of kids like swimming, the cameras go away because it's just like a courtesy thing, isn't it? You don't film those things anyway.
Other kids or other parents have not chose for their kids to be on social media.
No.
And we sometimes we don't know these kids. You don't know if they live with like protected. What is it called in English?
Protected identities. Yeah.
Or, well, I don't know. I don't feel like it's up to us to share other people's kids on our social media or YouTube. I also don't want to video our kids, because if we go to a park, we also join in and play and all of that. Like, I don't feel like that's the place to video.
No.
And if we go and meet friends that we actually know, then I don't want to have a camera around, because then I focus on videoing and not spending time with my friends.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. On the flip side of that, though, we have got quite good at doing both. We've got quite good at enjoying the moment and videoing as well, because we do it all the time.
Yeah. We don't video every single step that we do.
No.
I think that's the point. So we basically answered that question. Like, yes, our kids play with other kids all the time. Like, every time we go to a park, which is basically every single day. Not really, but often, at least 3 times a week.
Couple of times a week, yeah.
And then they always make new friends when you go to the park. And then we obviously got friends with kids that we meet. And
then when we're around here, where we are like sort of close to home, if you like, the kids have got playgroup, which they go to often once a week, isn't it? When we're sort of in a routine.
Yeah.
You know, just because we live in a van doesn't mean that we don't do normal things like going to take the kids to playgroup and taking the kids down to like the parks, play with friends and stuff.
No, exactly.
Yeah, I often it often strikes me as a bit of a weird question. Like, yeah, of course they play with other kids. Like, they're kids. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, our kids have had a history of being quite shy and enjoying
the COVID children.
But that's exactly what I was going to say. That's not because of our lifestyle. That's because they were. The first couple of years of their life, they weren't allowed to see other people. They were born during COVID.
Yeah, like when Charlie was 3 months old, COVID hit.
Yeah.
And you were like, all playgroups shut down.
Everything.
You weren't allowed to see anybody inside. If it was somebody in the park when you got there, then you like turned around and left. It was like
weird times. It feels like a dream, doesn't it? When you think like God, so strange that we all lived through that like fever dream collectively. Like, it was a shared like weird hallucination.
And
odd.
It was odd. So it's just been one of them things that's how they've been raised, to not be close to other people, so they were a bit shy. But like earlier when I was up there and Charlie came down to get his water bottle, he came up and I thought that he brought you with him, because he was chatting. Because I was like, I heard him far away, and I was like, who is he talking to? Like, I bet Tom came up with him, kind of thing, to get something or maybe have a break or whatever. And then he was like walking up with two, I wouldn't have said an elderly couple, but like say 60s.
Yeah.
And they were like chatting away with him, and he was like, all right, I see my mum now, so bye. And I was like, did you make some friends? He was like, yeah, I was just chatting with them.
Oh, I love it.
I was like, what were you chatting about then? He was like, well, I was just telling them what I was doing and some other stuff.
Wicked.
I was like, okay, that's so like out of his character.
Yeah,
like,
but I feel like he's growing into that more and more. Like, he's enjoying talking to new people and stuff.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons for this is actually on subject today, because I feel like it's since we've made friends while we've been away.
I was just going to say that.
Since we've expanded our social circles, being in like Tenerife, for example, where we'd met up with Swedes, other Swedish people in Tenerife, and spent like quite a few weeks with them, actually became really, really good friends with them. And Charlie became good friends with them, even though they were adults. They were Charlie's friends as much as they were ours.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's done absolute wonders for his confidence and stuff. And I feel like I've noticed it more and more after that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm with you. And I think partly it's because what you just said, but also that he's growing up.
Yeah.
But I think that this lifestyle feeds him more of that than he would do if we still lived in a house. Because I think that then you're so like locked into your own routines, and it's like when you're shy, that's how it works. Like you don't go out and just meet kids on the park, because that's not how life is. And you and me would not go out and just meet friends in the park. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he would not learn that from anybody. But here, like, because our social life is so like open and it's so easy to make friends on the road.
Yeah.
I think that he sees that and he's like, oh, everybody's doing this, so that's how I can do it.
Mm-hmm. This lifestyle, it lends itself to that sort of thing, doesn't it? To meeting like-minded people and whatever.
Yeah. And
you're almost forced to, because you spend a lot of time at these places, like especially in Tenerife, where there's not that, it's like a limited number of places to explore. You end up bumping into the same people over and over again, and you end up becoming friends naturally. It lends itself to that, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think that it's quite a big misunderstanding with van life, that it's lonely.
Yeah.
That people think that, like, okay, you live in your van, you drive around, and you're never in the same place for too long, so you don't get friends. And I feel like it's complete opposite for us.
For us, I think, yeah. But I can understand how that happens for people, especially if, like, you live on your own. Maybe it's a little bit different when you've got kids, because you're always at parks, you're always bumping into families, doing stuff like that anyway. But, you know, if you lived on your own in a van, I can understand that it gets a bit lonely if you don't put yourself out there.
Yeah, if you're...
But then again, I guess it's the same with if you were in a house. Like, if you don't ever leave the house, apart from to go to work or to go and do the shopping, you don't meet friends, do you?
No.
I guess it's exactly the same.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, like, if you're in Sweden,
Yeah.
then I can see that you get lonely, because we see a massive difference here when we're in Sweden compared to when we start traveling abroad.
Sure.
And not just with Swedish people. I'm not saying that all Swedish people here won't say hi to you and that it's only foreigners,
us dirty foreigners over here. Yeah.
Who's like open-minded when you get abroad.
Yeah.
But I think it's weird, but it's probably what you just said, that it's all like-minded people. So when the people who does the same, who's also from Sweden, they're also a lot more chatty when you get abroad, because they want to meet like-minded people.
Sure.
But when you're home in Sweden, it's rare that you meet them like-minded people, and that it's not just somebody who's out in their motorhome on a 3-week holiday and they're like, I hate my neighbours and I'm not chatting to anybody for the next coming 3 weeks.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, on the same note, like, how often do you meet people who are our age doing the same sort of thing, especially with kids? Almost never. In Sweden, never happens.
Never.
Because it's like in the summers, like 90% of people that you see are like, maybe say older people in like motorhomes that have, I don't want to say retired, but like older people something. And then when you're out of that summer period, that goes up to like 99%. You don't ever see people that are the same age, do you? You don't ever see people in their young, early 30s.
No.
Especially not with kids. It's so rare, unless you've actually gone somewhere to meet up with specific people. You don't really bump into people, do you? We're quite odd ones out in that respect, I think.
Yeah, we are, to be honest. Maybe it is that a lot of people who is like-minded, they go home and they work through the summer, and then they can travel again through the winter. I don't know. That's
certainly like a lot of the people that we've met, a lot of the friends that we've met on the road have that sort of setup, don't they?
Yeah.
They'll work their asses off. Like, they'll work really, really hard through the summer and then have the whole winter pretty much off. Maybe you do some maintenance stuff, some admin stuff, but, you know, that's your relaxed time sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And it does lend itself to that sort of lifestyle, for sure.
Absolutely. So do you think that we got like a bigger social life when we're on the road compared to when we're at home, if that's how you want to call it?
Yeah, you mean like, say, for example, when we're traveling in Spain versus being in Sweden, but still in the van?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just pretty much for what we said before, like it sort of lends itself to you meeting new people on the road, doesn't it? Because I feel like in Sweden, you fall into these like routines, especially when we're around here. We're around here where I moved to, where you've grown up sort of thing in this town.
Yeah.
You fall into the same routines and you don't end up going and sort of putting yourself out there to make friends and stuff. That and the fact that like our friends that we've had for a long time, our older friends, not our friends that are in the 70s, but rather like friends that we've had for a few years.
Yeah.
They live different lives to us. They live very, very different lives to us. And yeah, often stuff doesn't sort of match up. Do you know what I mean? You're not in sync with people in the same way, I don't think. So yeah, I do. I feel like we've got a bigger social standing like when we're away from here. But that's probably our doing. Do you know what I mean by that? It's not like, it's probably because we fall into these routines and stuff, I think.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it?
I agree a little bit, but I also think that like this is a thing for me since we started like, well, I think it was cancer who changed a lot to start with, because when cancer hit, our life stopped. Like everything stopped. And everybody else still just goes on. Their life moves on. And we don't see anybody because we're poorly. And everybody else keeps meeting people. Keep doing Friday nights with people or whatever. And we didn't do that for a year and a half. I was just thinking if it was a year and a half or however long it was. But say a year and a half.
Probably closer to 2 years when you count like when you're first getting symptoms and stuff like that.
Yeah. And then it's like, and there, even though our life stopped, we grew an insane amount. Like your mindset changes, like your way of looking at life changes. Mosquito.
I love that. It's sort of a theme of this podcast, isn't it? You're talking about something serious and you're getting really deep and into a meaningful conversation. And then it was like, mosquito! Oh, it's funny. Yeah, we're not in a studio though, are we?
No.
We're not in a mosquito-free studio.
No, we're not.
Often we have to stop for cars to drive past.
Yeah, we're not that luxury, are we?
No, we're not. Go on, you were saying.
I was saying that you grow a lot and your just mindset changes and the way you look at life changes. And all of a sudden, even though you've not gone anywhere, you grew completely different ways.
Yeah.
And I think maybe we grew into hippies.
It's probably an accurate way of putting it.
And our friends didn't.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that we're not really close friends with these people, because we still love hanging out with these people. We still make the most to see them. But we got very different views on life and how you want to live your life. And that doesn't change the fact that we're friends, but it does change the fact how we meet up to do things.
Yeah.
And then it's the same kind of thing again when you go traveling. And I bet you feel like this when you come like home to England, that when you go somewhere else to grow, everybody else keeps going in their old paths. Like they keep working and they keep going to the pub and they keep doing this and they keep doing that, and it stays the same, but you don't. So when you get back and you grew so much because you've seen this and this and this and this on the road, and you met so many new friends and you got so much positive input, and you've grown completely different. Everybody else is still in the same place, but they also keep growing, obviously.
Yeah.
Like, and then it becomes even more of a crash where it's like you still really enjoy hanging out with each other and you still, like, you're really good friends still, but everything else has changed.
You sort of grown a little bit in different directions, sort of thing.
Yeah, and not apart. I don't want to say you grew apart, because I feel like every time we see our friends, we still have the best time. We still really enjoy it and we're really good friends. But it does make it harder to get to the point where you meet up, because you've been growing on different sides but it doesn't mean that you grew further apart from each other.
Yeah, exactly.
And therefore, I think that our social life is easier when we're abroad, because then everybody has grown the same way as you and me. Everybody's growing in that, like, free-spirited, you're out, go out and knock on the neighbor's van and see if they're up to having dinner together tonight. Just sit outside and have a glass of wine in the evenings. And it's just so easy to make friends. And you wouldn't ever, like here in Sweden, it would be weird if you came knocking on a Friday night and be like, hey, I just put the kids to bed, do you want a glass of wine?
Yeah.
People are like, yeah, but you need to ring me 3 weeks in advance and then maybe I can do it.
Yeah, we've not booked anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think everybody's on the same wavelength, aren't they? That's the point. Like when you're away and you're sort of travelling, even if you're not travelling together, the people that you meet are on the same wavelength, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like for us, like with our, say, older friendship group, the friends that we've had for a long time sort of thing, we noticed that when you got sick, we realised who our proper friends were, didn't we?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
God, yeah.
we had a sort of close group of friends, and then we had a lot of friends that you would consider like acquaintances, like on the outside sort of thing. There was a lot of those people that didn't show up, that didn't really want to be a part of a difficult journey sort of thing. I feel like our friendship group whittled down by about 75%, like during when you got sick, during the cancer journey sort of thing.
Nobody wants a friend who got cancer when you're not even 30.
Yeah.
That's too hard for people to deal with. And sadly, that's how it is. It's not that people step up, they take a step back because they don't want to look at reality. Like, I think it is like, if you can't be there at my worst, like, I don't really want you around for my best either.
All right, Marilyn Monroe.
No, but honestly, like, if you're not going to step up when somebody gets cancer, then honestly, like, sorry to be harsh, but then you can F off. Like, I don't got anything to give you anymore then.
Yeah.
And therefore you feel like you don't gain anything from it anymore, because it just takes energy to think like, all right, so now it's okay to be here, but it wasn't 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Because then it was too hard for you to look me in the eyes when I was going through this.
Yeah,
like,
sure.
Then I feel like then it just sucks the energy out of me, to be honest.
That's the better way of putting it. Like, it's you either gain energy from being around, you know, positive people, or it drains your energy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And a lot of those people nowadays, for me, I feel like it takes more energy than you get back from it, sort of thing. So. All right, it's that time of the podcast again. It's everybody's favourite segment, this brand new segment that we've got called Give Us a Lift.
I never remember. I'm like, pick me up.
I was going to say, do you don't remember what it's called?
I don't.
Give Us a Lift. I might make a little jingle for it.
Boop, ba-doop, 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 boop, boop.
Yeah, with like a car horn. Beep, beep. Oi, give us a lift. Shall I go first this time? Oh, I got a good one. I got a good one that I saw on Instagram, actually.
Okay.
And then I went and researched it a little bit to find out what had actually happened. So
okay.
It was a really fun one. You know that we've recently had the Olympics. Mm-hmm. Well, did you hear? You've not heard anything about the Australian skateboarder at all? I guess not the breakdancer.
No, I was thinking this breakdancer. No.
Well, the Aussies have obviously been in the news for more than one reason. Aussie women actually as well, because this is a female as well. 14-year-old skateboarder.
Okay.
From Australia, who became the youngest ever Aussie to win a gold medal. She won a gold medal in skateboarding at 14 years old.
Wow.
She absolutely smashed it. Apparently the final round was insane. I haven't actually looked at it, but apparently it was incredible. Do you know why she did it? Because she wanted a pet duck.
A pet duck? Of all animals, she chose a duck.
So like a lot of teenagers, obviously, you know, want pets. Parents are like, no. If you do this, you'll get this. Well, their parents said, if you go to the Olympics and you win a gold medal, we'll get you a pet duck. She was obviously a very, very good skateboarder, like competing professionally and stuff, and she was already going to the Olympics. They said, there you go, we'll get you a pet duck if you win gold. Obviously thinking, yeah, good luck.
Yeah.
Anyway, she only went and did it. She won gold, And now her parents have said that they've got to buy buy her a pet duck. They can't go back on it.
You can't go back on that, can you?
And in her interview, it was the most innocent thing. They were like, "So what's been your inspiration?" She was like, "Well, I really like animals, and we travel a lot, so we can't have a dog or a cat or anything. And well, I really like ducks, so I thought I'd go and win a gold medal to get myself a pet duck."
Oh, bless her.
I thought that was dead uplifting. It was like she apparently absolutely smashed it.
Yeah.
And there you go. She got a reward. She's getting a pet duck. Bless her.
God.
So if there's any 14-year-olds listening, and you've been like, "Mum and Dad, I really want a pony or whatever,"
just go and win some Olympic Games.
Go and get yourself a gold medal, mate.
Yeah. God, that is incredible.
Cool, that is.
Yeah.
What you got for us?
Mine is a bit cheesy.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go. Is
Go
it
on,
you?
what is it? Oh, hang on. Let me get prepared for this. Go on.
No, it's just that we have been through, let's just say, hell with all the cancer and all of that crap. And it's not me, like it's you've been through hell as well with this. And no matter what, you've always been there for me and the kids and everybody, but also not just as a partner or a dad. You also just made sure that we did the work that we need to do in, and you make sure that there's food on the table every night, and you make sure that maybe not that there's food in the fridge, but
no, it's not really my role, is it? Let's not exaggerate.
But I'm just very impressed on how you've dealt with this last 2 years. That I can see that you're tired. I can see that you're struggling some days still, and that all of it's been really, really hard for you. But you still been there the whole way through, and it does really inspire me, because some days now, like we said, it's been really hard. Have a lot of work on, and even though we only got 2 kids, it feels like we got 50 kids at the moment.
It does at the minute, yeah.
And you still make sure that everything is done when it needs to be done. And I don't know, you really inspire me.
Oh, thank you. That's nice.
I look up to you on how you just get shit done.
Ah, thank you. That is inspirational. It's positive. That is. That's lifted me up. That has. Thank you for that. That's really nice of you to say. Yeah. It's not always sunshine and rainbows, is it? It's not always dead easy, but we try and get on with it, don't we? Hey.
We do, and a lot of it is because of you, I think.
Oh, thank you. I don't know about that, but thank you. That's nice of you to say. We've said it a few times recently about us having quite a lot of work on. We're quite busy with work, aren't we?
Yeah.
And it is something that we should probably clarify a little bit more often. We've got a lot of work on because we're starting up our own company. We're trying to build up, this company, with an online presence and with your crocheting stuff, and we're trying to take what we've been doing for years and not getting paid for it, as in like making YouTube videos, now making podcasts, doing fun stuff like that, and we're trying to make a living from it.
Selling stuff. Not just my crocheted stuff. Like for many years, we've been having our own Etsy.
All right, Sean Connery.
For many years, we've had our Etsy shop where you've designed stuff that we've been selling.
Yeah.
And now we are working on more fun projects that we're going to sell at some point, hopefully from our own website. And it's a lot. It's a lot to do this with 2 little kids.
That's the thing, innit? Yeah, we've taken on a load of different challenges, and it is because we've wanted to throw ourselves into working for ourselves. We've not been able to do it gradually because of how we wanted to sort of go travelling and things like that. That we wanted a clean break and to go from working normal jobs, quote unquote, to working for ourselves and doing it properly. So we have thrown ourselves in, haven't we? So
we have, because now from 1st of October, we're both in the company.
Yeah.
And, I've been on the company the whole time, but I've not been working for the company.
It's not been your main source of income, has it?
No. And from 1st of October, it's both of our incomes come from that.
Terrifying.
It is terrifying and also really, really exciting.
Yeah.
And it feels really fun. But I think that's why we feel like we got so much on, because we've decided to not have the kids in preschool.
Yeah.
Which means that we need to work 2 full-time jobs with 2 kids around.
Yeah, and taking care of the kids is a full-time job. Might even be a full-time job each, like per kid. To be honest, at the minute, it feels like it, doesn't it? So you lot who's listening, by the way, give this a little share. Go and tell your friends about it.
Yeah, exactly.
help us out a little bit. Help us to grow and help us to achieve these goals and stuff.
Yeah.
Because bloody hell, I tell you what, like when I think about how normal people have their lives with their kids, where the kids go and be at preschool for 6+ hours a day, you think about all the stuff we'd get done.
I know.
We'd be sailing. It's bloody difficult, isn't it?
Yeah.
But on the flip side, there's a reason why we've chosen to do this, and I wouldn't change it. Wouldn't have it any other way.
No.
But it is not without its challenges. Let's say that.
No, it is hard, but we also know that life goes fast, and well, it's only a year until Charlie starts school.
Mental, yeah.
And I honestly can't imagine not having all of these years together with him before he starts school, and not chucked him into preschool 4 years ago.
Yeah, I absolutely think that we've made the right decision. It's been cracking. But maybe, if you could sort of spread the timeline out a little bit, maybe you have these nice years and then you start your own company and then you whatever. But it doesn't really work like that, does it?
Not for us.
All of these things have had to go hand in hand for us to live the life that we have over the last sort of year or so after cancer and stuff. Everything's had to go hand in hand. We've had to be flexible with work. We've had to have the kids home. We've had to, do you know what I mean? To be able to travel and work at the same time.
Yeah.
A lot of things have had to sort of synchronise.
And I think that's why a lot of our old friends think that we're crazy.
Old friends, new friends, family members. Yeah.
Everybody.
Myself. Often look at myself in the mirror like, what on earth are you doing?
I look at you too and think that.
Yeah, when I'm dead behind the eyes, like after a long week. But
by the end of the day, how much do you enjoy it?
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't change it for the world. And when I think, like, when I'm at retirement age, maybe not even that, but like, down the line, I'm going to look back at this sort of period of time and be like, we absolutely did it the right way. Yeah. We absolutely made the most of it. And I think there's a lot of different ways that you can go when you've dealt with cancer, and I think ours has been about as good as it could be for us. Yeah,
I think that we realised like how short life is.
Yeah,
and how much stuff we were doing that we didn't enjoy, and I think that a lot of people probably thinks that maybe you should have waited a bit longer before you did things.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about driving to England 3 months after you had your major operation, then maybe.
I agree. I agree with those people.
I was going to say, I would probably agree with them, yeah, but maybe not with the rest of it.
No, and I think that sometimes for it to work, you have to throw yourself out there.
Got to roll the dice, haven't you?
Like, when is it ever the right time?
That's it.
To do things.
You've got to roll the dice, definitely.
Maybe not the week after you get back out from the hospital.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not the time that you should move out of your house.
Keep the dice. Keep the dice in your pocket at that point, mate. Honestly, like, my biggest fear in life, has always been, ever since I was probably a teenager, my biggest fear is getting old and being like, having all these regrets on why did I not do this? That's what dragged me out to Cyprus the first time when I was like 19 or whatever, when I met you.
That time. Yeah.
What was I doing then?
That time you shouldn't have rolled the dice, should you?
But like the whole thing, it's always been like that. It's always been, I'm scared of having being filled with regrets as an old person. And I think that's still probably what drives it. It's just that it's dialed it up even more after having been through what we've been through.
Yeah.
So roll the dice.
You should definitely do it. And I think that even though it's hard, it's definitely worth doing. Just get out there, throw yourself out there, do it. Don't go and be safe. Well,
No.
maybe be safe.
Well, be
Don't-
safe. Yeah, definitely be safe. We're not bloody telling people to go and drive without the seatbelts on and stuff like that. Be safe.
Don't run with knives.
Yeah.
Just take a deep breath and do what you want to do.
You got to do it. Definitely.
That's the thing.
Mm.
And taking this back a little bit to social life,
Yeah.
about doing what you want to do. We had these as an inspiration the other week, actually. Well, probably months ago now. We met this German family, didn't we?
Yeah.
And I feel like they were really inspiring, but
Yeah.
also like such a fun thing. And those we met just in the park where we were parked up, and they were like super chatty. They were not very Swedish, obviously, because they were German.
Yeah.
And obviously.
Yeah. Funnily enough.
Yeah, they're not Swedish when they're from Germany. I thought it was really nice because we met them just where we were stood, parked after we'd been to the festival, and started chatting to this mum in the park. And that's something that you normally don't do in that way.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they invited us for a barbecue that night,
Yeah.
and we went. And that, to me, as a Swedish person, is the most terrifying thing you can
Worst
ever do.
Something that's like built deep down, isn't it?
It
Like,
is.
This is not what we do as in Sweden.
Yeah, like we stood there chatting for ages, and I was like, this is really, really nice.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't believe I just met somebody who wants to do, like, who's about to do exactly what we've done.
Yeah.
They were moving out of their house 2 weeks after that night.
Huge coincidence that you just run into them in the park.
Yeah. And she walked past the van and she was like, actually, if it's not raining tonight, you can come and just eat at ours. We will grill tonight and you can eat at ours. And then I was like, oh, yeah, hopefully it rains. And then it's like, I have to think twice.
Yeah.
Well, I answered. I was like, yeah, of course. But like inside, my voice was like,
Alarm bells.
yeah,
Social
rain.
alarm bells going
I'm
off.
gonna go out and dance the rain dance now.
Oh.
But like that, I have to think twice, and then I'm like, but what do we want? We want to meet like-minded people. Of course, we're gonna go to theirs, and it was such a nice night, and they even came by for coffee the next morning and everything. And it's lovely, and it's so easy to meet friends, but you have to throw yourself out there.
You
That's
do.
the thing.
You've got to put yourself out there. It's like a little bit what we were saying before about rolling the dice and following, what you want to do and stuff. It happens like on a day-to-day basis as well. If you want to meet more friends, you've got to roll the dice and say hello to people.
Yeah.
If you want to sort of grow socially, you've got to put yourself out there a little bit. And it doesn't always mean like going and sparking up a conversation with every stranger that you meet.
No, please don't.
But you know what I mean? Like if it's obviously like-minded people at the park, people who've got kids of a similar age, spark up a conversation. It's like it's so
easy.
You've got no idea like what might happen from it, sort of thing. But I feel like we've become quite good at that. We've become quite good at putting ourselves out there, and it's been really good for us anyway, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. I think because I grew up as a really shy child.
Yeah.
I think this is still like
It's quite deeply ingrained
into me. But I do really enjoy throwing myself out there.
Yeah.
And I think it's just another part of growing. And
yeah.
if you're scared of van life being lonely, then I think like just go back to yourself. Do you feel like you would be putting yourself out there, then it's not going to be a problem? And do you feel like you're just going to close the door and not chat to people, then you're probably going to get lonely.
There you go. It's probably a good way of putting it, to be honest. A good takeaway. Right, shall we start wrapping this bad boy up?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. Thank you very much once again for listening. If you've made it to the end of this episode, then tell all your mates. Help us grow. Help us.
We're throwing ourselves out there, so please.
Yeah, leave us a review if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. If you're listening on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, because I looked at the stats the other day and only 20% of the people that watch our videos on YouTube are subscribed. You know that? 20%. So hit the subscribe button.
Yeah.
Do it.
And you're getting a gold medal.
And you're getting a gold medal next week.
And maybe a duck.
Maybe a pet duck. There you go. Yeah, thanks very much once again for listening, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.